All right, now I'm going to do a video on 2-3. We started it in class. I know this can be a challenge, so I just wanted to go ahead while I'm making videos and make one for this. All right, so the point of 2-3 is to learn how to clear fractions and decimals from an equation so you can turn it into something that looks a whole lot simpler, okay? I do recommend you learn this technique. I use it a lot when I'm working with fraction equations. If you learn it, it makes the process a lot faster. But I'm not forcing the issue. If some people are really good at entering fractions on their calculators, they can do it quickly and efficiently. So that's going to be okay too. So let's take a look at question number 1. Here's the process if you're going to clear the fractions. All right, what you're going to do. So we're going to learn how to do it. Okay, so you look for the LCD of all the fractions. So you have 5, 2, and 10. The LCD would be 10. It would be what you could use as a denominator, but you're not going to use it in that way. You're going to use it to clear out the fractions. So I can do 10 times the left side, 10 times the right side. And that 10 would get distributed to each term. Normally, I don't write the step that you see right now. This is the first step I would actually write. Is 10 being multiplied by each thing on the left and being multiplied by each term on the right. But now you picked 10 because it will clear out the fractions. Your denominator will go into that numerator evenly. So 5, for instance, goes into 10 2. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 10 goes into 10 once. So 10 divided by 5 would be 2. But then I had a 2 already, so that gives me 4y here. Here, 2 went into 10 5 times the 1 that was already there would be 5. And then over here, 1 times -7 would be -7. And so my original messy looking equation that I had right here is equivalent to this one. They'll have the same solution set. So now I'm able to solve very quickly and easily by just subtracting 5. I'd get 4y is equal to -12. And then I'm going to divide by 4. And I wind up with y being -3. Okay, so that's the process. That's how you would clear the fractions. Okay. All right, now that same equation can be done without clearing fractions if you choose to. If you're really comfortable using your calculator, though, because you don't want this to take forever. You don't want to have to do all those calculations by hand. So here's what you would do if you're doing the problem without clearing fractions. So this is with clearing on the left, and this is without clearing. Okay. What you would do in that case is you would subtract the 1/2 from both sides. So you'd subtract 1/2 from both sides. So the 1/2 cancels out, and you'd have 2/5 y equaling, and then you would do that on your calculator. You would type in -7/10 minus 1/2, and you would get -6/5. This is what you would have typed in, -7/10 minus 1/2. Use the fraction area of your calculator, and your answer will be a fraction when you're finished. But you do need to learn how to do your calculator because it might write it as a mixed number or something to that effect as well. Okay. All right. Then once you've gotten to that point, what you could do is notice that this is a times between the 2/5 and the y. And so what you might do at that point is say, well, I'm just going to come in and divide both sides by 2/5. And so that will leave you y on the left equals, and what you're going to type into your calculator is going to be -6/5 divided by 2/5. And you're going to let it do all the work for you. When you do, you'll wind up with -3 and be finished. Okay. Now, some people use a blend of the old with the new. So they go ahead and do this part, get to 2/5 y equals -6/5. And then what they do, instead of dividing by the -2/5, at that point they say, oh, now I'm going to clear the fractions. And they come in, let me change it to blue. They come in at that point and multiply by 5 on both sides, which would then give them 2y equals -6. And then they divide by the 2 and get the -3. Okay. So people kind of create their own, you make it your own. Once you understand how to do everything, you can do varieties of approaches. Okay. So for the rest of the worksheet, I'm going to clear the fractions, but really you can do it without clearing if you prefer. So here, if I cleared them, I would get the LCD for 6, 3, and 5, and that would be 30. Then I would multiply 30 through on both sides. So do 30 times each piece, okay, all the way through. And if I did that, I would wind up getting 5x minus 10 times 2, which would be 20. Okay, so 6 goes into 35 times, 3 goes into 30 10 times, 5 goes into 36 times. 5x minus 20 equals 6x minus, and I have to do 30 times the 1, even though that's not a fraction, or I'm not keeping the equation balanced. Okay. Now, at this point, I want to come in and subtract 6x from both sides. Okay. And when I do, I wind up getting -1x minus 20 equals -30. Okay. All right. And then at that point, I just continue my solution process, my automated process I've been learning. And I wind up getting -1x equals -10. And then I'm going to divide by -1 on both sides. And I'm going to wind up getting x equals +10 when I'm finished. So the idea of clearing fractions is that you find the number that you could use to get rid of all the denominators and turn what had been a pretty complicated, messy equation into one that doesn't have fractions anymore. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at question number 3. On this one, until you understand better how to deal with the parentheses, go ahead and distribute the 1/4 and distribute the 1/5. So you'd get 1/5 b plus 1/5, and then 1/4, and those letters should be the same. So I made a typo there. That should be an X and an X. Okay, they should be the same letter. Okay, so 1/5 x plus 1/5 plus 1/4 x plus 3/4 equals 2. So I just distributed the 1/4. 1/4 times 3 would be 3/4. Okay, now at this point, if I didn't want to clear fractions, I don't have to. I could do 1/5 plus 1/4 to get my like terms combined. And then I could combine the 1/5 and the 3/4 and go from there. But what I'm trying to show you is how you would do it by clearing the fractions. So that's what I'm going to show. The LCD would be 20. And what I'm going to do is multiply everywhere by 20. So I'm going to distribute that 20 throughout on the left-hand side, and then I'm also going to multiply on the right-hand side by 20. And I chose 20 because of what happens here. 5 goes into 24 times. 5 goes into 24 times. 4 times 1 would be 4. 4 goes into 25 times. 5 times 1 would be 5 with that X on it. 4 goes into 25 times. 5 times 3 would be 15. See that 3 that was already there? That's why that one felt different. And then don't forget to multiply the right-hand side by 20 so that you're keeping that balance that we've been talking about. Okay? All right, then you just say to yourself, oh, these are like terms. That would be 9x. 4 and 15 would add up to be 19, and I'd wind up with 9x plus 19 equals 40. Okay, and it's a normal form. Now you should fly through the rest of it by subtracting 19 from both sides. That leaves me with 9x equaling, what is that, 21. Okay, and then divide by the 9 and simplify that, and you wind up with x here equaling, this can be divided by 3, can't it? x equaling 7/3. Okay, so that's how you would do it, by clearing fractions. All right, and then on question number 4, we could look at the LCD there. It would be 50. No, it wouldn't. It would be 10. I could use 50, but that wouldn't be the least common denominator. 10 would be good enough. And then I could multiply both sides by 10, but I'd have to be sure to distribute it to both terms, this one and this one. So make sure you multiplied the 2 by 10, and then also the other side by 10. Okay, so I'm multiplying each of these by 10. So that 10 I used because it knocks out that denominator. Then 10 times 2 would be 20. Then 5 goes into 10 twice. So on this side, I really have 2 times a minus 3 left. So I have 5a. Let's go ahead and put -2 and 20 together. That would be 18. And then let's distribute that 2. That'd be 2a minus 6. Okay. And then we'd go in and we'd subtract 2a from both sides. And that would be 3a plus 18 equals -6. And now we're back to this nice normal form, and I'm ready to fly through the rest of it. I'm going to add -18 to both sides, and then I'm going to divide by 3, and at the end I'll have a being -8. And that one right there, that's a tough one to do without clearing the fractions. Okay, that's pretty much how everybody would do that one. Okay.